I think I've taken a bit of time. What we'll do is now we'll run this 25 minutes various clips of people, friends who have sent these videos from outside Karachi and some from Karachi also. And I'd like you to before we have yourself, Ramiz.
My name is Adil Ahmed and I am the correspondent for the TCS Connect and Oktara corporate magazines. In that capacity, I've had the great pleasure and privilege of knowing Ramiz for many years now. I also had the honor of penning the biography of his illustrious father, the legendary Allawala, during the course of which my interactions with Ramiz were substantial. Ramiz made the transition to his celestial abode on Monday, the 13th of February 2017. He fought the cancer tooth and nail, almost vanquishing it on more than one occasion. His loving and supportive family, along with his legion of students, friends and fans, provided him with positive energy as they prayed for his well-being. At the appointed moment, however, the Lord's work had to be done, even if it were to leave behind a huge emptiness in the hearts and minds of his family and friends who flocked to his funeral to bid him farewell. For me, I did not feel the emptiness, for even in his absence I could sense him loud and clear. Ramiz was a warrior through and through, and his conquests were legendary as they ignited the minds and fired the imaginations of corporate leaderships across the world. Ramiz's work and remembrance will carry on, of that there is no doubt. His specialities were strategic thinking, conflict resolution, problem solving and solutions, values-based decision-making and corporate ethics, negotiations and persuasive communications, all vital for the establishment of prosperity, peace and progress in a world gone VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous. Ramiz understood that it was all about mindsets. What he taught was not rocket science. What he taught was unadulterated common sense that has regrettably become most uncommon in the mad dash of life as we know it today. He beguiled us to stop and ponder that which sat on the tips of our nose, evading our attention. It was a treat to see the light switch on in the eyes of the participants as the penny dropped, revealing the solution in all its simplicity. Pure genius. Such was Ramiz. As CEO of Gulfstone Training for 18 years and 2 months, Ramiz was committed to bringing major shifts in current leadership capabilities. His firm's core strength is helping client organizations and their employees apply critical learning rapidly and effectively. The likes of Ramiz Allawala are not to be mourned, they are to be celebrated. He has enriched our lives and left us much the wiser. To each of his students, unto whom he was a river of knowledge and self-awareness, the time is now upon us to put his many thoughts into action and make this world a better place. Rest in peace, my friend, and may Allah bless your soul and grant you a place in heaven. Ameen, summa ameen.
Fellow trainers and members of the HR fraternity, this is Kamran Rizvi. I would have loved to be with you all on this occasion to remember a giant of a man, Ramiz Allawala, who passed away and is no longer with us. I have known Ramiz since 1998 when I first attended his session hosted by the British Council. And in that he spoke of ethos, pathos and logos. That session left an indelible mark on my mind. And ever since, I have admired this man for his contribution to the learning and development fraternity and the quality that he brought to the entire effort. I wish him well. May his soul rest in peace and may Allah grant him Jannat. I'm so grateful and so happy that all of you have assembled this afternoon to remember not only this man but his legacy, which I feel we all are now to live. Thank you.
Sir, a few thoughts on Ramiz.
Oh, he's my buddy. That's it, he was my buddy. And I pray for him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Ameen. Ameen. Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum dosto. This short video goes to Ramiz Allawala. I had in few instances opportunities to meet him professionally though. Extremely helpful person. I remember I was stuck in some ideas a long time ago and I messaged him and seeking his support to refine my ideas and to see how practically those ideas can be implemented in a training environment. Usually what I've seen, not everyone, but a lot of trainers usually keep these secrets close to their chest. These are secrets really for them. But Ramiz was very open with me. He was traveling and then he sent me a message that he's traveling and he was, once he reached to his destination, he called me and then we discussed these ideas for about 10-15 minutes. He guided me. Very few people would actually do that. He was such a great soul throughout his period of illness. I tried to, together with so many other friends, tried to keep him motivated, prayed for him, but ultimately every soul has to meet the Creator. He's gone, but he has left a lot of excellent memories with a lot of people who still love him and pray for him. My prayers go for Ramiz's departed soul. Assalamu alaikum.
Hi, my name is Haseeb, and I just want to say that I'm sorry that I'm not here with you guys at the moment. Whenever you're going to be seeing this video, but I think the grief that all of us felt after Ramiz's cancer and his demise. I mean, he fought till the last, and I remember back in 1991 when I was working in Lou Biscuits after Pakistan Tobacco, and in Lou Biscuits was a state organization, and I got fired within 7 months, and I was the darkest period of my life. And Ramiz and Karen were there for Zofi and I back in Karachi in those days, and we sort of like owe them so much in our life. And then they actually recommended that both of us go into our own business one day and we'll be very successful. And alhamdulillah, Zofi and I have been working for 21 years and based on their advice. Thank you so much, Karen and Ramiz. Thank you, man. I love you, man. The swimmer, my friend. Ramiz came to my training workshop, our workshop in Karachi back in 1998. Yeah. And he spoke very well, and so I encouraged him. I said, Ramiz, come on, man, you're a born leader. You have the power to influence people. You have the power of the words. And your body language and your articulation. To ant hai na uski, Ramiz ki to thi na, like, nobody could beat Ramiz's articulation, man. Amazing. His knowledge about things, his research, and his dedication and compassion for people. The passion that he had to help people. And that's what made him so successful. And I think he made a difference in so many thousands of lives, including my own. And absolutely. And sort of like, wish Ramiz, God bless you, buddy, wherever you are, keep smiling on us with your unconditional smile always. Thank you. Lots of love, man. Bye-bye.
as I speak. I intend to attend the remembrance, which also happens to be his birthday, 5th of March. I don't know if I will be able to, but I'll try my best. My name is Imran Kazmi, also known as Crystal Heart Kazmi. And I had heard once that with age comes wisdom. It's very important and very poignant saying. I don't know who wrote this. I just know that it was an interesting line from the movie Johnny English Reborn, spoken by Mr. Bean's Rowan Atkins. So in my case, that's probably not true. But in the case of Ramiz Allawala, I would say that he didn't really need age to get wise, or to make people wiser than they were, as a facilitator, as a trainer. I would just like to reach out to Karen and Alina and his other daughters and sons. I'm not very familiar with his family, because I think it must have hit them really hard. I was scared of death when I was young, and I read about the Buddhists. And the Buddhists, as they are supposedly calm, spoke about attachments. And those attachments are things that link us with this world. Our family, our friends, our material, whatever. Ramiz was attached to everybody. Whenever I'd see his Facebook profile, it would somehow remind me of The Truman Show. If any of you have seen it, it's one of the most interesting movies of Jim Carrey, another of my favorites. And that's what Ramiz was. He was public property. So, although it must have hit Alina and Karen and their other family members, it has hit all of us. So we all grieve, and it's less grief, it's more disbelief, to be honest. I mean, a part of me and a part of you, I'm sure, doesn't want to believe that he's not here. That you'll see another post of his, another video, another picture, whatever, smiling, that big smile of his, and with some positive message, something that uplifts you, something that makes you feel that your troubles are quite meaningless. That's Ramiz. And I wish I could be with you people. I absolutely wish that I could.
Hi, my name is Zafishan, and with great sadness, I'm here with all of you to pay a tribute to a friend whose life was taken way, way too soon. He was a true warrior. The way he's fought, and with a smile on his face, it's commendable. We've known Ramiz for 25 years, and he's helped us through thick and thin during our tough times as well. Their house was always open, and I'd like to share a very, very beautiful, sweet experience that I had. Once the rains in Karachi were really bad, the roads were flooded, and we ended up at Ramiz and Karen's house, and there was an empty ground next to their house where there were a few tents of the gypsies. And I see Ramiz going there and telling the gypsies to pull and salvage their stuff and put it in his garage. I thought that was the most unconditional, beautiful thing that he did. Wow. Such people are hard to come by as friends, which is why we should celebrate his life. He was a true warrior, and he's left a void in the lives of his family and friends, but yet he's changed lives, so his legacy continues. God bless you, Ramiz.
Greetings from Northfield, Minnesota, a suburb of the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul in Minnesota and the United States of America. Ramiz has many, many friends in this town, and I've invited them to stop by, some of them, and give their condolences. My name is Wayne Eddy, and I'll be back to tell you about my, what we called bromance that I had with Ramiz.
I'm Bruce Moreland, and Ramiz was my friend, both in curiosity and in life. We shared many talks. We shared lots of interests. He was the most curious person I've ever met, I think. And I enjoyed getting to know him. I took him down to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester where I used to work, and he was always excited to introduce me to his doctors as the statistician that used to do clinical trials. So I loved him dearly like a brother, and it's really sad that he's gone now. I just wanted to, he was always very interested in things that I would bring into the room, and one of the things I brought in was this little symbol that I wear, and he asked me what it was, and I said, well, it stands for liberty. And he wanted one right away, so I went out and got another one and gave it to him, and he wore it for quite a while. So, goodbye, my friend.
Ramiz, what can I say? Your light is so bright still that it shines through the shadow of death. We have been so blessed to soak in the warmth of your humanity, hear your laughter, listen to your witty remarks as you went back and forth with Wayne. And we have been blessed to be in your circle, if for just a little while. And we want to say how grateful we are for that opportunity, and that our heart, my heart, everyone here at KYMN goes out to Karen, Alyssa, Alina, and Zach. We miss you, and we are thinking of you all the time, and we send you love across the seas and across our hearts. They go out to you. And I do want to also say, Andy says hi. Thanks.
I first met Ramiz through his daughter Alina. She came and said happily one day he had been booked onto the Wayne Eddy affair. He was going to be on the radio station. I had known he was coming into town, but of course I've never met him. And that was my first encounter with Ramiz, and why it's something that probably everyone has had that knew Ramiz, a first encounter, and you knew things in your life were going to be different after that encounter. His genuine honesty, his compassion, his feeling for all of mankind, not just people he knew, not just people from, his little area of life, but globally. He just had a wonderful way about him that made everyone that I know that knew him feel good inside about yourself, about him, and about the world. And that's something that you can't replace. We're all very saddened by the loss of Ramiz, and he will definitely be missed.
Hello again. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my wonderful relationship with Ramiz. Now, Ramiz was a very intelligent man. He made me feel so small. Well, not feel small, but compared to him, I'm nothing. I spent 24 hours of continuous conversation with him, cut up in 2-hour segments. And I learned a lot about the man, but more importantly, I learned a lot about myself through him. And by the way, once again, Karen and Alina and Alyssa and Zach, I have to give you my total attention for the moment, because although I have not known Alyssa, I've met you, Zach, and you're quite the kid. Your dad was so proud of you. And of course, Alina, that's how we got started. I of course knew you through a business that you were working for, did an interview with you, and said, wow, that was really interesting. She said, you have to meet my dad. And about a year later, I did get the chance to meet her dad. And Alyssa, someday I hope to meet you. But I haven't been to Houston for a while. Here's a little bit of information I think that you might like to hear. Here in America, we have something called a bromance. Now, if you want to know what that is, all you have to do is ask Karen, and she'll tell you. What it is that two men really like each other, and we had one going, and it was wonderful. Let me tell you about some of the things that we did. When he learned that he had cancer, we were all saddened. But he said, it'll work out, it'll work out. And it was during one of our interviews that we came up with the idea of chronicling his trip through cancer treatment, never anticipating that it would end upon his death. And he would come in about every Friday, every other Friday, if he was strong enough after chemotherapy, and he would tell us what it was like and what he was going through. And it gave him something to look forward to, because it's such a down time when you're taking chemotherapy. But he'd have something to look forward to, and we wouldn't just talk about his cancer, we would talk about anything and everything. He was such a great man. As a matter of fact, one of the things I told him is that my Bible group as a Christian prayed for him to our God to help him get through this. And then when I went through some surgeries, he prayed to Allah for me. And I think we're both blessed from those prayers. A story I like to tell is that one day when I knew he was pretty down from the treatments, I said, I'm going to give him a call. And I called him up and I said, Ramiz, how would you like to go for a convertible ride? Oh, okay. So I picked him up, and he got in the car and he looks around. I have a big old 1975 Oldsmobile convertible. It's a big car. And he just enjoyed that. And I took him to what we call a drive-in from the old days. And that's where you drive in under a canopy with rock and roll music playing over the speakers. You push a button, tell them what you want from the menu that's attached to a pole, and then they come out carrying a tray, and they balance it through some mechanism on the window. Then you sit there and you pass the food around. Well, Ramiz had his burgers and his fries and his root beer. We were at a famous A&W root beer stand. Well, we get all done, put the stuff back on the tray, and we're leaving, and about a third of the way home, he says, Wayne. I said, what? And he holds up the root beer mug. And I said, oh, I didn't even see that. He had it holding it down and not hiding it. He just had it in his lap, and I didn't see it. And I said, I'll turn around and go back. He said, I'll bring it back tomorrow. I said, well, you don't have to do that. We can turn around. He said, no, I want to go back and have more root beer. He always cracks me up. He has such a great sense of humor. And one of the things that comes to my mind constantly is intelligence. The man was a wordsmith. If I could only speak the language he does in English, I mean, I would say, well, I know that word, but how do I weave that into a conversation? He was amazing. I loved having him on the air. Another thing he posted on Facebook, and I don't really get into that much, but I happened to cross it, and it was his 8 rules of marriage. And there were 8 do's and 8 don'ts. And quite frankly, they were prophetic. He really explained a lot of things in there that were humorous, but really to the point. Look them up someday if you can. I'm taking little looks at my notes here that I have, and one of the things that I admired about him is he never bragged to me that he was a great famous swimmer in Pakistan. I didn't know that until somebody told me. And I thought, hey, Ramiz, you were a great swimmer. Oh, yes, I love swimming, but didn't brag about it. And I was impressed with that, because a man of his intelligence can sometimes be self-centered, and I didn't find any of his existence in these studios when we were doing interviews and on the social circuit that he was at all self-centered and egotistical like many of us broadcasters are. He had a great sense of humor. He would tease me and go right over my head, and he'd be sitting on the other side of the studios chuckling to himself, and I'm going, what's he laughing at? And then I'd hear it back and I'd go, oh yeah, went right over my head. I've done over 2,000 interviews. That's 2,000 different people or more in my lifetime. And I want to say Ramiz was the very best of all. But I've done senators, I've done athletes, I've done politicians and doctors and criminals and all kinds of people. And Ramiz is on the top, if not. I'll tell you, he was quite the guy. And he loved this second home away from his beloved Karachi, Pakistan. And we talked about Pakistan. He told me all about it. The beautiful greenery and the mountains and the brooks and the streams and the ocean and the hot, sweltering cities. He told all about that. And I only knew about Karachi. That was the only thing I knew about Pakistan, frankly. And we didn't talk about war and peace between countries. We just understood that he being a Pakistani and me being American, that we liked and loved each other. And that was good enough for us. Now, in closing, I just want to say, Karen, thank you for the opportunity for we folks back home in your adopted city of Northfield, Minnesota. Miss him. Everybody I talked to on the streets, people that called me, emailed me, texted me, extend you and the kids their deepest sympathy. In such a short time, such great long memories we will have of Ramiz Allawala. Thank you.
Words fail me at this time to describe Ramiz Allawala. And I just told JJ, I said, let's vow, and I'm telling you also, that, we have to, this is not the end of Ramiz Allawala's life. This is to be the beginning of a new chapter for Ramiz Allawala. We will celebrate him, inshallah, for whatever he was.